Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is a parental information presentation on project-based learning in mathematics. My name is Richard Batts. I am currently a Central York High School biology teacher. Before we jump right into it, what is PBL? What is project-based learning? Well, project-based learning is going to be the teaching method in which students gain knowledge and skills by working for an extended period of time to investigate and respond to an authentic, engaging, and complex question, problem, or challenge. So, kind of all these things correlate together to give you what PBL actually is. If you look over to the right here, you'll notice this chart here. So questions that you need to know. There's feedback and revisions that go into it. Student voice and choice. They get to determine how they want to investigate, how they want to respond to this question. This question is going to be engaging. It's going to be a problem that you might see out in the real world. PBL is going to connect and engage the students in a way that traditional conventional teaching doesn't. Conventional teaching, I would be standing up here teaching you everything about it, where you would just be kind of memorizing and then regurgitating that information. PBL allows you to make those real world connections. If you still have a couple questions on PBL, down here is a PBL video, kind of explains it a little more in depth. It's about 4 or 5 minutes long. It is a very good video. I would recommend if you have a minute or two to go ahead and watch that. So moving on from PBL, well, what's the craze about PBL, right? Why is project-based learning so important? I'm assuming you guys learned the same way that I did, which was, the conventional method. This is math, here are the facts, this is what we're doing, and we got by just fine. So why do we have to change it up now? Well, there's been some research done on project-based learning to see how effective it actually is. One study, the first one I'd like to discuss, shows the effectiveness of project-based learning in mathematics. And I have the links to both these papers at the end of the presentation that I will share with you guys if you want to read the full article. But the study found that project-based learning has high effectiveness in the mathematics classroom. In this study, they used 30 students for one sample for the conventional learning and 30 students for a PBL. The project-based learning gets shown to PBL. So students in the PBL group had a higher post-test student understanding and ability to use concepts in real life. So I know that higher test grade is going to be important for students and for you guys as parents of the children to make sure that your child is still getting those good grades that you would like them to get. They're not losing out on any of the content. They're still hitting the standards. They're still learning that information, but now they're connecting with that information at a deeper level. They solved a problem using the information that we would have just learned. So instead of me telling them what the answer is, they're out engaged solving it on their own, which is a great way to learn the material as opposed to just being told what it is. A second study titled The Comparison of Learning Effectiveness of Problem-Based Learning and Conventional Method of Teaching Algebra. So now algebra class we're looking at here. So the study found that there's significantly higher achievement when project-based learning was used. So this one, last research study, you might have noticed there was only 30 and 30, so a relatively smaller sample size. Well, this one has 211 students for the conventional method and 236 for the project-based learning method. And they still had the same results, significantly higher achievement levels. So within this experiment, they used the students' algebra achievement test, which had 25 multiple choice along with 7 essays or open-ended. I know you guys are questioning how there are essays and open-ended in math. However, this is what they used. And those math essays give the students more ability to express what they know as opposed to a multiple choice where it's right or wrong. As I said, significantly higher post-test in algebra when taught using the project-based learning approach. Again, those high test scores I know are important to you. They're important to the students. And again, we are not skipping out on any of the standards, any of the content when using project-based learning. We are more engaging to the students. It's more problem solving, getting them out there to solve that engaging problem, using the concepts and the skills that I would have typically been standing up here and teaching in the conventional method. So we know project-based learning is effective. We know it's working. We know how to implement it. But what might it look like in a classroom? Well, I'm going to get there in 1 second. However, what would it do? What would your student be doing? What would your child be doing in the class? So instead of me telling them what to do, they would be telling me what they think. They would come up with a way to solve the problem. They would tell me about it, and I would, guide them in the right direction or help them get to where they want to go in order to solve that problem, in order to pick up the skills, and along with the content that goes with it. So on the right hand side there's that little comic, kind of says, I expect you all to be independent, innovative, critical thinkers who do exactly as I say. I'm sure you can see the contradiction is this. We want students to be critical thinkers. We want them to be problem solvers. We want them to be creative. However, we're not giving them the opportunity to build these skills. We're standing there, we're telling them what they need to know, and then we're asking them to regurgitate it. None of that is being innovative. None of that is being critical thinkers. None of that is being problem solvers. With project-based learning, we can touch on all these 21st century skills that employers are going to be looking for when your child gets out into the workforce. So what might they be doing in a PBL classroom? So on the left-hand side there, we're learning geometry, we're learning about dimensions, we're learning about graphs. Well, what about the grid? Instead of just learning about grids and kind of how much space and everything, what if they built their own city? They had to build a city based on those dimensions. They had to map it out to figure out how much space things would take up, and they got fully involved. Got an update going on. Let's cancel that. Back to the action. So now they're fully involved with that geometry. They're getting involved with figuring out the grids, how it works, how much space. So now they solved the problem. They built the city in that area. On the right-hand side there, we're learning about graphs. We're learning about angles. Well, why not use technology, right? We have all this technology at our fingertips. How about our phone, right? As you'll notice there, you can put the phone on it and it can tell you the degree, how far it's angling. So from that, we can use that information to learn about the graphs, learn about the angles, learn about the tilts that correlate with it. So there's a whole lot of concepts that you can learn in this one little project that are going to teach you everything that you need to know for that skill, for that test, for that standard. So these are just two examples of different projects that you might see in a mathematics classroom. Here are the two studies that I had mentioned previously. You can click on either link here. They're both hyperlinked. It will take you directly to the PDF, to the site that has those research articles. From there, you guys can continue your research on project-based learning, and hopefully that this quick presentation has given you enough information to kind of feel comfortable sending your child to a project-based learning classroom, not only in mathematics, but also in other classes. Thank you again for listening to my presentation. I hope you guys all enjoy the rest of your day.